The company business war. The presidents of two conglomerates are having a fight downstairs. One of them is my brother. I rushed over to help when it was already too late. My brother accidentally flashed his back while showing off his taekwondo side kick because he wanted to show off in front of the media. I carefully helped my brother onto the stretcher. Suddenly, a soft snort came from behind me. What? Is this the kind of crap you're breaking up with me for? My brother is a well-known figure in the financial newspaper. Forbes ranked the top 100 young entrepreneurs. He inherited my dad's usual truthless and cunning approach. After years of conflict with Harmony Group, my brother has sent people to vandalize 2 palm trees in front of their company. He bribed 2 of their cleaning ladies to go on strike. Later on, when he sent me, who had just returned to China after studying abroad, to be an undercover agent, he accidentally made a mistake. The day I fled home from Liam's corporation, my brother was discussing with my father about the acquisition of Hongchuan Group. I stood in the doorway and cautiously called out towards the inside. Dad. Brother. The 2 men in the room turned around in unison. Because I came back from Liam's corporation in a hurry. I didn't have all my clothes on inside. The cold winter wind was blowing inside. And my nose and eyes were red from the cold. I looked like I had been crying. I just sniffled. My brother suddenly slammed the table and said angrily, "Did that group of people under that surname Fu bully you?" Hearing the word bullied, I slightly shyly lowered my head. In front of my eyes vaguely flashed the man's handsome and cold eyebrows, the red mole on his ribs that was covered with fine sweat, and the suppressed and restrained light panting. And then I lowered my head and said with a bit of a squirm, "Brother. Actually, that." My brother sensed that something was wrong with me. He frowned and surveyed me for a few moments, his eyes latching on the scab wound by the corner of my mouth. He instantly blushed and interrupted me. "The wound at the corner of my mouth. How did you get it?" With a bit of trepidation, I explained. "That. Brother. What if I told you that it was actually Liam?" My brother didn't wait for me to finish explaining. His mind had already realized. He instantly became furious and slammed the table. "What? It was this bastard surnamed Fu who had someone beat you up? Last time he stole our company's bid. Last time he embarrassed me in front of the media. And this time he dared to have someone beat up my sister? He really doesn't care about our family. Does he?" Seeing my brother reacting so strongly, I opened my mouth in a daze, then silently closed it again, swallowing back the words I was about to confess. After all, I didn't dare to tell my brother that the wound on my mouth wasn't actually inflicted by Liam. Rather, it was broken by his kiss. Back to my room. After sighing deeply, I looked at my cell phone. There were 43 missed calls from Liam. Liam, the president of Harmony Group. A thorn in my brother's side. A bitter rival. They've been in rivalry for years. The company's business disputes had long since become personal. Right now I'm sitting in my room. My brain has finally calmed down from last night's excitement. Suddenly realized with hindsight, even if I risked being peeled off by my brother, and confessed to him that I had accidentally fallen in love with Liam. But what about Liam? When he learns that not only am I his rival's own sister, but that I've also been cheating on his affections for so long with the aim of bringing down his company from the start, won't he be sick of me the next second? Earlier is indeed I undercover agent when accidentally hot-headed. To Liam accidentally moved love. More so, I accidentally had that last night's. Now that I've calmed down, I think it did seem a bit capricious. The reason why Liam can fight with my brother for so long is entirely because of their insidious tactics that are not similar to each other. Once he learns of my original identity and purpose, for someone like me who cheats on his feelings, uses him and betrays him, won't he have to drive him to extinction? Thinking about this, I inexplicably broke into a cold sweat. After hesitating for a moment, I opened Liam's chat box. The last message was just sent. Liam's character has always been cold and reticent. And right now he was obviously angry and helpless because I hadn't been answering my phone. "After calling you so many times you didn't answer. When I opened my eyes this morning I thought I was being played as a duck. I didn't answer. Thinking about when the break is broken. I directly sent the last breakup text message. Then bear the heartache will pull him black deleted. To say the least. It was also a bit unforgiving. After all. And Liam behind my brother's back sneaky talk for a few months. He took meticulous care of me. But now. He even know my name is only a fake. When my brother sent me to Liam's corporation as an undercover agent to get corporate secrets. Not only did he help me cope with all the company backtracking. He even gave me a fake name to avoid suspicion. Although I don't know how Liam will react. But I know very well that even if Liam rummages through the whole country, he will never be able to find me to settle the score. I didn't expect to run into Liam again. He and my brother were having a fight downstairs at the office. Originally, the two of them were just spamming each other because of the new release of the same type of product, which was on the hot spot. Later, my brother took the initiative to leave a message under Liam's microblog. Tuesday, 3 p.m. Downstairs at the front door of the company. Come if you're a man. Liam has always been restrained and polite on social platforms. His own character is even more cold and self-possessed. According to Reason. Never pay attention to this kind of dispute. Not to mention the absurdity of the president of the hall and the people about the fight. But he actually returned a good at the bottom of the message sent by my brother. At 3 o'clock that afternoon. Media reporters surrounded our company in circle after circle. I looked at my brother in front of me who was ready to take the company executives down to step on the spot somewhat lustfully. My brother seemed to sense my concern for him and said confidently, "Your brother is a black belt in Taekwondo. Don't worry. I will definitely help you out this time." I was silent. Until I received a call from my brother again. I rushed over. But it was already too late. After all, my brother is only 28 this year. And he's a little too young. It's been a few years since he's had a girlfriend. And he wanted to take this opportunity to act tough in front of the media cameras, accidentally flashing his back while showing off his Taekwondo sidekick. My brother was still screaming in pain when a group of executives from the company carefully helped him onto a stretcher. Inexplicably, I felt a little ashamed. I was just about to silently walk away when suddenly a soft snort came from behind me. "What? Is this the kind of crap you're breaking up with me for?" I froze in place for at least half a minute. For a long time. I didn't dare to turn my head. I turned my back to him and spoke in a slightly heartfelt tone. "Liam. We've broken up. Did I say I agreed?" A long silhouette in front of me suddenly blocked my view. The person was wearing a high-fashion suit. Tall and leggy. And the residual hickey could be vaguely seen under the highest button. My eyes did not hold back to move upward. Still that handsome sex-cold full face. Let me trance again remembered when he moved his arm tense grip bed head. Restrained and hidden appearance. Sexy enough to make your blood run cold. My heart was beating a little too fast. I felt a little bad. Vaguely starting to show signs of a bit of love brain on the head again. Deliberately turning my head sideways to not look at Liam. I said to Liam with a hard heart. "It's no use if you don't agree. I'm tired of you." Liam raised his eyebrows slightly and repeated. "Tired?" He has always been accustomed to strategizing. And the ups and downs of emotions could not be seen on his face. At this moment, he let out a faint smile. But his handsome and cool eyebrows were covered with a layer of darkness. "So that loser is the new love you found?" I couldn't bear to hear Liam insulting my brother like that. I couldn't hold back my defense. "Don't say that about him. Besides his rotten character, bad temper, poisonous mouth, not tall, and loved to show off a little bit, he is still very powerful in other aspects. My brother is indeed pretty awesome. After all, it is the nature of most men to love to pretend." Putting this aside, after he took over his father's company, he was able to make the company's older generation of elite backbones obey him. So he is already sharp strategies. Afraid that Liam didn't believe me, I added. "Really? He's better than you in some aspects." "Such as?" Before the words left my mouth, Liam seemed to finally be unable to bear it. Tearing off the usual appearance of restraint and decency. Leaning over and blocking my lips with force. The force of his kiss was a little too strong. I was already presciently thinking about how I was going to explain the cut on my mouth to my brother later. When he let go, Liam was still holding me. His voice was vaguely hoarse with exhaustion. "Stop saying that. The company was busy a while ago. I rarely had time to accompany you. It's me who made you unhappy. Go back with me. I'll buy you whatever you want. Okay?" I didn't answer immediately. Not because I haven't thought of the words to refuse. Rather, it was because my uncle, who just happened to be passing by the company's downstairs, was standing on the opposite side of the road, and was probing with wide eyes, trying to see clearly the person Liam was holding in his arms. Fortunately, Liam's body is very well proportioned, and when he hugged me, he just blocked me. I let Liam hold me, too scared to move. "No. Uncle. Don't be so nosy. Okay?" Because my uncle was late, I didn't dare to struggle too much and let Liam take my hand and forcefully bring me to the car. The stretch business car was well hidden with the windows down. Liam's hand on my waist didn't let go. Warm fingers rubbed the flesh of my waist. Liam lowered his eyes. His voice couldn't hear his emotions. "Why have you lost weight in this period of time?" I was tickled to death. Just as I tried to duck away, he pressed back slightly more forcefully. "Your new love isn't good enough for you," Liam said in a light tone before suddenly wrapping his arms around me, ignoring my struggles, and turning sideways to drop an almost brutal kiss on my neck. Brightly colored hickeys fell incomparably on the spot that my clothes couldn't even cover. It was like an indelible mark that had been branded by someone. Liam's face seems to have pleasure on it, and the corner of his mouth shallowly curves up in an arc. But I was a bit dumbfounded. The wound on his mouth can be explained to my brother that he was beaten up. Could this hickey on my neck also be explained as being beaten? I squared my shoulders and sidestepped Liam's kiss as he came up to me again. The atmosphere in the confined space seemed to freeze. So quiet that it was as if the only voice I could hear was mine. "Liam. I told you. We broke up. And I don't like it." Liam lurched in his movements. The look of pleasure that had just been there washed away as he raised his eyes and looked at me expressionlessly. "That's not what you said when you were with me. And now it's only been a few months and you're tired of it? Emily. Do you have to feel your conscience when you say that?" I felt my conscience a little sheepishly. "It's a bit painful. Emily is a fake name my brother made up for me. My real name is Sue. Sophia. The only daughter of the Sinclair family." With that said, Liam got up, his face calm and his air pressure extremely low. "Okay. I don't want to continue this conversation." He picked up the jacket next to the seat and said in a tone that brooked no argument, "There's a tuxedo and a gift for you in the bag. You'll be accompanying me to a dinner party tonight. And you'll be staying at my place for the next few days so you don't wander off and make it impossible for me to find you." When he came back to his senses again, the door of the car had already been firmly locked. The driver dropped me off at his villa as Liam had instructed before he got out of the car. Liam self-made. To be able to come to the point where he is now comparable to my family. The means can be imagined. He has always treated me with great consideration, making me forget that Liam is a bad character in anyone's eyes. I stayed in Liam's villa for 3 hours. My brother, presumably with no back pain, was bombarding me with phone calls at the moment. "Sophia. Where are you? Didn't I tell you yesterday that no one in the phone family can miss the birthday dinner for the son of the phone family? Where are you now? I'll pick you up." I sighed in annoyance. The front door of Liam's house has fingerprint locks on both the inside and outside, so I can't open it at all. I gave my brother a few perfunctory words. Just about to hang up the phone, the door to the room was suddenly pushed open. Liam stood in front of me. He looked at me expressionlessly, his gaze falling from my face to the cell phone he was talking on. Halfway through the conversation he lifted his chin slightly and asked me, "Who's coming to get you?" My brother was also instantly alert when he heard a strange man's voice on my end. "Where are you? Why is there a man talking?" I only felt a little dizzy in front of me at the moment. Secretly laughed bitterly. Such an unlucky and dog-blooded moment was even stumbled upon by me. The atmosphere was unusually quiet. It always gave me a feeling that all the secrets were going to be revealed in the next moment. In a trance, I seemed to have imagined Liam's disgusted and hateful eyes towards me. And my brother and my father's disappointment in me. I should have known. Why did you do it in the first place? It's true. Isn't it? People. You still have to abstain from sex. I took a deep breath and turned my head to Liam and explained in a pale, weak voice. No. You misheard me. Liam frowned slightly. He suddenly hugged me gently and, ignoring the fact that his cell phone was still hanging up, he leaned in and bit my earlobe, sighing softly. Okay. I misheard you. But next time, if you're going to lie to me again, lie a little more heartily. Okay? Otherwise I'll look stupid. My face flushed a frightening shade of red. I couldn't hold back a muffled grunt. My brother's end fell silent for an instant. I tried to push Liam away. He took my hand and didn't push. I guess the two of us were moving a little too loudly on this end of the phone. My brother finally stormed out and interrupted us. Which one of the fucking guys is there? I'm warning you. If you move Liam resented his noise. Lifting his hand, he hung up the phone. Then he looked down at me. Intimately ruffled the hair around my ears for me. His voice faintly said, "You're my girlfriend. Don't get in touch with him again until I agree to break up." I looked at the hung-up phone in a bit of silence and then back up at Liam. It was going to take a lot to get me to stop having contact with my brother. The only other possibility was for me to be swept off my feet by him. I reluctantly changed out of my slim burgundy evening gown. I actually entertained the idea of just calling my brother to confess and asking him to come pick me up and take me away. But I couldn't help it that Liam had been inching up beside me the whole time. In the mirror he reached out and wrapped his arm around my waist, leaning into my ear with a slightly imperceptible rasp in his voice. "Good looking. It suits you. I have to say, Liam does have a much better eye than my brother. My brother always chose dresses with diamonds all over the hemline. It gives him a gaudy and tacky look. But Liam chose a slim fishtail model. The jewels were just the right amount of understated and restrained. So much so that when he led me to the entrance of the dinner party, the people who passed by and knew Liam were very facetious and complimented me. Mr. Fuss Vision is really great. Even the girlfriend he found is prettier than a movie star. Mr. Fu and Mr. Fu are really a golden couple. A perfect match." I was flattered. I couldn't help but take the initiative to hold Liam's arm, and praised him in a good mood in his ear. "Your friend's eyes are quite good." Liam sniffed. Footsteps a beat. Liam was wearing a high-fashion black suit today, which made him taller and longer. He reached out and rubbed my hair, and whispered to me with a smile on his face, "Of course. You're so pretty. Anyone who sees you will love you." Seeing that Liam took the opportunity to lower his head again to try to sneak a kiss on me, I quickly raised my hand to block it. I was really a bit depressed. How come I didn't realize before we talked that Liam was so clingy? Liam's eyes narrowed slightly before he gave me a peck on the palm of my hand. I glared at him. Still kissing, still kissing. In the future, if you regret it, don't look for me to settle the score. Okay? It wasn't until we entered the venue. Only then did I realize something was wrong. Why does this place look so familiar? Not only does the place look familiar. The moment I saw my uncle and Feng Su standing in the middle of the dinner venue, I almost lost my breath. The Feng family's son. Feng Su. I almost forgot. Although my family and the Feng family have always been on good terms, but due to Liam's identity, the Feng family will still invite Liam in the name of the group when it comes to social occasions. The birthday party invites famous people from all walks of life. There is no shortage of uncles and uncles who have watched me grow up. Just now outside, perhaps because of good luck, did not run into people I know well. But now, as Liam's partner, I had to toast with all the people present as his partner, including my uncle, my dad, my aunt and my brother. I was really kind of disheartened. If I had known this, I would have confessed to my dad and the others earlier. When Liam saw my face turning white, he thought I was scared and rattled by this big scene. After all, I was still a simple and ordinary girl image in Liam's impression until now. He held my hand tightly and comforted me. "Don't be afraid. Just follow me later." I look at my hand, which Liam can't even draw away from his grip, and my face becomes even more desperate. "It's over," I sigh. Liam was placed at the table next to mine. I kept my head down the whole way. Next door, my brother's voice, obviously still angry, came into my ears unexpectedly. "After so many calls, she didn't answer. So let her roam around outside from now on." I was a bit cold. And then my head pressed down even lower. In fact, I didn't intentionally not answer my brother's call. Mainly because my cell phone was automatically turned off just now due to lack of battery. My dad, who was sitting beside me, also had a hard look on his face. He turned his head sideways and asked the assistant beside him, "Where is he? You haven't found him yet?" The assistant shook his head with a difficult expression. Of course my dad couldn't find me outside. After all, I was sitting directly across from him. I was sitting right next to Liam. When I looked up, I could see the two somber faces of my dad and my brother. Liam is gently hooking my hand under the table. Suddenly he frowned, turned his head and asked me, "Is it cold? Why are your hands so cold?" I shook my head and smiled a little hard. "It's not just my hands that are cold. My heart was even colder." More and more people were coming to chill with Liam. My palms were getting a little sweaty. From time to time, people looked at me curiously and inquisitively. A few passing uncles couldn't help but tease Liam. "I've known you for so many years, but I haven't seen you bring a female companion. This girl is really watery." One of them suddenly stopped talking, moved his glasses, narrowed his eyes and said suspiciously, "Wait. Why does this girl look so much like, isn't this a member of the Sinclair family? Isn't this the girl from the Sinclair family who just returned to China?" The whole room was quiet for a moment. Everyone knows that Liam and the Sinclair family have been at odds for many years. Liam has been in a high position for many years and has never been rumored to have any scandal. But for the first time, he has brought a female companion here. And the female companion is actually the Sinclair family's precious daughter. The people in the room even stopped talking. All of them side-eyed and looked at me with a gossipy face. My father and my brother even turned their heads violently in the next second after that person's words just fell. Their eyes were piercingly cold. Liam next to me froze in place for a moment, and his grip on my hand loosened. The strings in my head that had been taut for a long time completely snapped. I felt myself starting to get a little dizzy. Covering my ears, I closed my eyes. I intended to hypnotize myself to just pass out for good. Before I could pass out, however, I felt Liam's gaze settle on me. And he spoke in a cold voice. "The Sinclair family's newest young lady, Sophia?" I raised my eyes to meet Liam's emotionally indistinguishable face and nodded stiffly. Anyone who could play Liam to such a sorry state. "I'm kind of the first." Liam didn't say anything for a long time. He stared down at our hands, still clasped together under the table, his face slightly cold. Liam is a very smart man. When he opened his mouth again, he had already figured out the ins and outs. So he only asked me in a faint voice, "So your name is fake? Your identity is fake? And your liking for me is also fake, right?" Although I had expected such an outcome, I still tried to explain. "Yes. But my liking for you is indeed." My brother, who had been gloating and watching the show from the side for a long time, suddenly coughed coldly. I subconsciously shut my mouth. Liam pressed his brow somewhat wearily. Even though his face was already very unpleasant, he still said to me in as soft a tone as possible, "No wonder you hated spending time with me so much after that day and kept rejecting me." A bitter laugh spilled from his throat as he slowly let go of my hand. "I pushed you too hard. I'm sorry." I stared blankly at Liam, who got up to leave. Unexpectedly, he didn't scold me viciously or do anything sinister to get back at me. Only a final touch of gentleness and decency. Liam had just left. My brother was laughing a little across the room. He gave me a thumbs up. With a mouthful of praise. He said, "Bull. Worthy of our family's genes. That's a ruthless and cunning enough trick. Mean enough indeed. My brother's dirty tricks haven't hurt Liam in all these years. This time, I lied to Liam's feelings and directly hurt the root of the problem. But I just bowed my head in silence and didn't say anything. Pouring a glass of wine. I sipped it one sip at a time. Unable to finish it. Before, I had always thought that staying away from Liam would be in time to snuff out this newly sprouting relationship. But I overestimated myself. Now that I've actually left, I realize. It turns out that I have long been deeply involved. In fact, when my brother sent me to Liam's corporation as an undercover agent, his intention was just to let me get inside and steal business secrets. Being with Liam was an accident. My brother used his connections to sneak me into Liam's corporation as his assistant. Because I'd been trained by my father since I was a child. I also studied at a prestigious overseas university. I'm more than capable of handling this position. My brother sent me over before. Specially sorrowfully patted my shoulder and instructed. Usually pay attention. Don't let him have a good time. I reassured my brother. Our family is a lineage of truthless and cunning when it comes to such tactics. During that time, the surveillance in Liam's office was often broken. There were always little creatures hiding in the desk. The Wi-Fi in the office was often not working. The paper towel bin in the restroom was often empty. I did it all. Until one time I bought a cup of coffee and was about to secretly pour it on Liam's jacket when he suddenly pushed his way in. He and I looked at each other. There was a bit of silence from each other. After a long while, I hid my hands behind my back, laughed dryly and explained to him. Slip of the hand. Slip of the hand. Ha ha ha. Liam didn't lose his temper. He just raised his eyes to look at me and spat out 6 words in a cold tone. Contact the personnel yourself. Me. To stay. I couldn't get through to him on his cell phone. So I had to run to the downstairs of the client's company where he went to talk business and wait for him. I ran into Liam and a woman walking into the hotel. Liam looked out of sorts. The boss smiled like my brother. It's quite sinister. I was a bit shocked. I didn't realize that this man's methods were even more sinister than mine. Before Liam entered the hotel, I directly rushed up to save the hero. At that time, I was holding Liam, who was drugged and set up. He walked a little difficult. I could only let him lean on my arms. Liam's cool face was flushed. His usual morbid self-discipline and restraint only kept him awake for a few moments. Liam's breathing became more rapid. I looked down at Liam. His face reddened. Liam's shirt was loose. And you could vaguely see well-defined abs. I have to say, if you put aside the fact that he's been a rival with my family rivalry for years, I was really quite taken with him. But I had just sighed when suddenly there was a tickle at my neck. I almost giggled when I looked down at it. Liam was leaning against my shoulder with his eyes closed and his brow furrowed. Perhaps it was because the drug was starting to wear off. He uncontrollably started to rub his lips gently against my neck. I felt the need to go back and ask my brother to increase his allowance. I put Liam on the hotel bed. His grip on my hand didn't let go. The temperature of Liam's body rolled frighteningly hot. The ends of his eyes swirled with a scarlet color. He suddenly pursed his lips and stifled a grunt. My eyes snapping open as his fingers dug under the covers. By the time Liam wakes up, the drugs had worn off and it was the next day. He opened his eyes and looked around at the immense mess on the bed. His eyes seemingly blank. When his eyes fell on me. Who came in with breakfast? His eyes froze. There were still scratches on my wrists from Liam's delay in letting go of my hand yesterday. You, Liam trailed off. Hesitant. I looked at him quizzically. Then Liam sighed softly. Forget it. It's my negligence. Don't worry. I'll take responsibility. Responsible for what? I froze. And then realized what I remembered. My face turned a little red again. But. You're going to take responsibility for me just because you happened to see it? That's not. Liam and I had gotten together by mistake. At first he was only doing it out of duty. And I didn't choose to say no just because I was using. I stuck to Liam for almost 3 meals a day to better extract secrets. He was a little uncomfortable at first. But then he simply moved a chair next to me so I could sit. I was a bit terrified. It was a little too obvious that I was going to make so much noise in the office. Months went by with no trade secrets. Instead, Liam became more and more intimate with me. For example, when I accidentally fell asleep in the office, I woke up and met Liam, who was ruffling my hair behind my ear. He leaned over slightly, the smile in his eyes faint. "It's still early. Sleep a little longer." I was a little horrified by this. Then there's the time I snuck up on Liam's computer to check his profile. When he suddenly walked in, my hand shook and I quickly clicked on the zombies page on my computer. The manager who followed in next to me changed his face. It was probably the first time he had seen someone dare to use Liam's computer to play a game. However, Liam was only slightly stunned, and then walked behind me, looked at a moment and suddenly opened his mouth. "Sunflowers do not plant this. Pick this one for a good pass." The back of my hand was covered with another person's warm hand. I turned my head to see Liam's handsome mess of a side face. At the moment, his eyes were focused as he personally led me through the game on his computer full of important information. The manager next to me couldn't even breathe. My heart started to beat faster. It was as if my heart was going to jump out of my chest. A sound as if it was next to my ears. Not being able to hold back, I fell. I said I'm sorry to my brother very quietly in my mind. Ever since the day Liam left the party, I haven't seen him since. Messaged Liam a few times to apologize. He didn't blackmail me. But didn't reply me either. I'm very sad. My brother and my dad, on the other hand, have been particularly happy lately. Because the stock of Liam's corporation has been going down continuously for the last few days. They think the business tactics are very successful. Already, they are working harder to find the next girl to be sent as an undercover agent for Liam. By the time I moved home from the apartment Liam had rented for me, everyone in my family was waiting for me at home early. There was obvious joy on their faces. My brother gave me a sports car for it. My dad even gave me a house of my choice. My aunt and my uncle gave me a big red envelope. I didn't hold back. Sniffling, my eyes reddened. This time it was really crying. After accepting the gifts everyone gave me, I started to shed tears towards the few people in front of me and said, "Dad, I actually really like Liam." The atmosphere in the house was instantly quiet. My brother didn't react too much except for his cold face. He probably guessed it, but had been reluctant to think about it that way. My dad, however, was taken aback in a real way. His face was green for a while. After a long time, he said with an ugly expression, "Liam, this person is really smart. He just dropped the stock price a little bit. But we lost a daughter." My brother is quite open-minded. He patted my dad's shoulder and said, "It's okay. Seeing Liam in that mess last time was kind of cool." As expected, my brother has a personal grudge against Liam. My brother turned his head to look at my face, which was a bit dirty from crying, and looked disgusted. While taking a tissue to wipe my face, he spat. "Stop crying. If you keep crying so ugly, I'll take a picture of you as a publicity photo for the company." That's quite a vicious statement. I glared at him. My brother shrugged his shoulders as if he didn't care. "If Liam sees you then, I guess he won't like you anymore. So this is just the perfect way to get rid of you." I was furious. My aunt consoled me. "Ran, don't cry. It's not that big of a deal. It's just that you like Liam. Our family doesn't need to use you to pave the way for the company." I nodded and looked towards my dad. My dad turned his head and didn't look at me. I guess he was still angry. He only snapped, "All right. If you've made enough of a fuss, let's eat first." I sucked in my nose and my heart went cold. Actually, this result was within my expectation. My dad, my brother and Liam have been fighting with each other for so many years, and have formed countless grudges. both public and private. And for them to accept Liam into my family. It was good enough that they didn't peel off a layer of skin from me in advance. The atmosphere during the meal was silent. After the meal my dad went to his room without a word. I went to my room quite sadly. While shedding tears, I flopped down on my bed and started counting the money in the red envelope my aunt gave me. Only when I heard the sound of my brother and my dad leaving for work did I push open the door to my room. Lowering my head, I saw a jewelry box on the floor in front of the door. I froze. A text message popped up on my phone just in time. It was from my dad. Promised your mom to watch you grow up and marry the person you like. And I've been more strict with you since you were a kid. Now that you can find the person you like. I think it's also your mom blessing you in heaven. What's on the doorstep is a gift from your mom for your adulthood. Before she died, she instructed me to wish her children a lifetime of happiness and joy. And I hope so too. Tears welled up in my eyes. The year I can remember was the year my mom fell ill and died. I remember Mom as a very freedom-loving person. That's why she left for a place far, far away without a second thought. When I went to Liam's company again, people in the company looked at me differently. Gossip spreads a bit fast. The receptionist said to me very winkingly, "Miss Sue. Mr. Fu is not here today." I was a little disappointed and said, "So when will he be back at the office?" The receptionist looked around warily, and then waved at me to come closer. "Mr. Fu hasn't been in the company for a few days. You know." I actually didn't quite understand, but I still nodded blankly. The receptionist slipped a note into my hand and told me, "Mr. Fu's home is here. The manager told me to bring it to you when I see you." I froze and said thank you. When I went to Liam's house, I rang the doorbell a few times before the aunt at home came down and opened the door. Liam's house was clean and cold. I went upstairs and knocked on the doors of the rooms one by one. When I got to the last room, there was movement inside. But there was a delay in opening the door. After a moment's hesitation, I asked, "Liam?" No one answered. Then I pushed the door open. Unexpectedly, Liam was sitting at his computer desk. Liam turned his head subconsciously as if he had noticed someone. He had lost a lot of weight. The fatigue was visible to the naked eye. When he saw that it was me, he only froze for a moment before getting up and saying, "What brings you here?" I had just stepped forward. Liam then took a step back and said with restrained politeness, "Miss Sue, is there something you came to see me about?" I froze. And then turned my head to look at the ashtray of cigarette butts piled up on the table next to me. After a pause, I asked, "I heard you haven't been to the office for a while. What's up with you lately?" Liam smiled and was silent for a moment. And then he lowered his eyes and said in a light tone, "Recently, my health is not good. I want to rest for a period of time at home." I finally could not hold back. I went forward and hugged Liam. He froze in place, not moving a muscle. Liam's nice cold fragrance drilled into his nose. I rubbed the tears on my face on his shirt, thinking I still can't look too bad when I raise my head later. In reaction, Liam seemed to try to push me away. He was much stronger than me and could definitely push me away if he pushed harder. But he didn't. He let me hold him and then laughed bitterly and said, "Sophia, stop playing games with me. I'm a human being and I get sad too." I didn't let go. Liam stood still for a long time and sighed softly after a moment. A man like him, where reason was paramount, had one day willingly allowed indulgence and sentimentality to take over. He allowed himself an uncontrollable light embrace back to me, his voice carrying an emotion that was hard to restrain. "I've actually thought about it. If I hadn't taken you out that day, is it possible that you could have lied to me a little longer?" I sniffed and suddenly looked up at Liam, shaking my head seriously at him, saying, "You're overthinking it. You can't." Liam stiffened in his movements. He looked back, withdrew his hand and smiled at me with an apologetic smile. Indeed, I was delusional. I nodded, agreeing. "Yes." Liam fell silent. I couldn't help but sniff his neck again and sighed. "What brand of perfume have you changed recently?" It smells so good. I can't help but want to hold you and not think about anything else. Liam was silent for a moment before he said. It's a new product from the company. I'm trying it out. Oh. I nodded. And then I said to him. I'm sorry. I lied to you before. I thought of a way to make up for it. When Liam heard my apology, his tone softened. It's okay. I actually don't mind you lying to me. As for compensation. His words trailed off. He lowered his eyes to hide the gloom in his eyes. And only somewhat helplessly touched my head as I leaned into his embrace. There is no need for any compensation. As long as you're happy. It's better if we don't see each other again in the future. Indeed. Emotional compensation is the most unnecessary. Liam lacked nothing. The only thing he wants is nothing he can compensate for. I'm still quite a rebel. I took Liam's words for granted. And raised my head to bite him hard on his collarbone. Liam frowned and grunted. And I happily leaned in close to his ear and said. That's not good enough. I have to make it up to you. And to make it up to you, I'll marry you. Okay. Liam? Liam was subconsciously trying to say no. But the next moment he froze when he heard what I said. He looked at me somewhat incredulously. His voice trembling. These words. You can't say nonsense. I smiled at him and said. Of course I know. My dad has already agreed. So I'll marry you as compensation for cheating on you. Okay? The large house seemed to have suddenly become noisy. The traffic outside the window. The insects in the trees. And the deafening heartbeat like a drumstick. Only the next second Liam suddenly lowered his head and kissed me. I'm giving you everything I have as a bride price. My brother always had a smelly face during the engagement. He still looked at Liam pretty bad. When Liam toasted him, he reluctantly raised his glass and clinked it. Liam smiled politely and didn't say anything. I threatened my brother. I'm engaged. If you don't get your face out of joint, I'll tell my dad. He ignored me. Even though it was an engagement, it was a big event. Several tables were set up. The guests had to make toasts and say goodbyes one by one. By the time Liam and I went up to the stage to exchange engagement rings, we were already tired from the toasts. The engagement ring was a pair of diamonds from my mom's jewelry box. The design of the rings was unique, with a very small butterfly in the upper right corner of the band. We were pumped to finish exchanging rings. I was just about to get off the stage when suddenly there was a gasp from the floor. I froze. When I looked down I saw a white butterfly resting on the edge of the ring at some point. It flapped its wings slightly, as if bringing the most sincere blessings. As if in a trance. The summer breeze picked up. And I heard a familiar voice coming from afar. Be happy. Someone will finally love you for me. After a few seconds, the white butterfly took off again. This time, it flew to the free and vast sky without any more attachment. The whole room was silent. At this moment, there was no doubt. Everyone in the room knew that this was the destiny witnessed by the heavens.